Hey, welcome into the REVO Church podcast. I'm Jamie. I'm the host. Man, I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. You could have watched anything and you decided to click on this. And so we're honored. We're blessed. Man, I'm excited that you jumped on this video, because here's what we're going to do today. I am joined by Jeremiah and Jessica. They serve at our Walkertown Campus. They attend. They are in art groups. They do all these different things. And so they're actually coming in to share a little bit about their story, how they've seen God move recently. But before we get into that, I actually want to tell a story about Jeremiah. So I didn't tell him that I was going to share this, but he's been serving with our student ministry for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
June of last year.
And there was a moment last summer where we were playing Capture the Flag at Horizon Park. And it was a big United event, inviting all the students. We're playing Capture the Flag, and Jeremiah's out there. And so I'm running, and Jeremiah's he's on me. He's just not he's guarding. I'm trying to save my people, trying to get the flag, and Jeremiah's just not letting me do it. And so we had these popsicles. So I got this idea, and I lean over and I tell one of my students, I'm like, watch this. I know how to get our people out. And so I take off running, and Jeremiah comes chasing after me, and I start taking popsicles, and I'm just chucking these popsicles at Jeremiah, thinking that if I hit him with a popsicle, he'll stop running. Little did I know that nothing deterred this man. And he needless to say, trapped me.
Yeah, you trucked it and hit me right here, right in the center of the chest.
The worst part about it was a green popsicle, which it's my favorite. Green popsicles are the best. Purple are the worst. If you disagree with me, put it in the comments and I won't read it. But man, so Jeremiah's been rolling with us for a long time, serving for a long time. Jess has been doing a lot. Man, our group that she's a part of, they have provided meals for the students. They have partnered and done a lot of things. And so, man, I'm happy you guys are here. How do you feel being on the podcast?
It's a great story to share, and I really look forward to sharing this story, because you can see how even when we're at the world is crashing around you, God's still there. And that's the important part to this, is the reminders that God put in front of us, even when you're like, I can't see anything, and all of a sudden it's just right there in front of you.
Yeah.
Well, he said it the best, so.
So walk us through it a little bit. So what happened? Some people watching this know, but there's people at North and South Fork that are like, I've never even heard of these people before. Who are these people? Who is that man? And what's he talking about? So walk us through a little bit about what happened. So it all kind of, it started in May, right? And for people that don't know, we've actually tried to record this podcast. We've had the date for this podcast set 3 different times to record over the span of about 3 months. So essentially from the moment it happened to today, we have been trying to record this podcast, and for one reason or another, man, it just has not been able to be shared. And what I believe, at least, is I believe that there's a reason it wasn't shared when it was initially recorded, and I think that's because there was more to the story that needed to be ultimately just unfolded. And so, man, I'm happy we're here. So tell us about it. It all started in May.
Yeah. So this was May 13th. It was that Tuesday. Garrett. So we've got four kids, and Garrett is our second son. Trevor's our oldest. Colton's our third, and Kinsley's our
surprise baby girl.
Yes. and so they're all teenagers and thereabouts. So anyway, Garrett was working over at FedEx, and he worked third shift. And he gets home about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and
in the morning.
So
he was working overnight at FedEx.
Right. And so about 4:30, he gets home, and I hear a big crash. And I'm like, I'm already hot, and so I'm not going to go back to sleep. So I get up and start having a conversation with Garrett. And, I'm sitting there looking at him, and he was like, something's just not right. Yeah. And I'm looking at him, and he looks literally like a...
like the starving children from Africa from way back when.
Skin and bones.
Yeah. Skin and bones.
Because he's 6'2", and at the time he was 125 pounds. So
and
no
he's
meat
normally
on his
about
bones.
150.
Right.
Yeah.
he wears typically like a size 34, and all of a sudden he's got 6 inches plus on his pants and the belt, and you're like, something is wrong. You got to get into the doctor.
Well, I was standing there talking to him too, and he took his belt off, and his pants just literally fell off of him. There was no stop, like nothing. They just went straight down.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let's get you into the doctors. He's at that weird cusp between where pediatric was there, and now he's got to transition to adult doctor because being 18, he's at that weird time.
He's at that weird, like, he's technically an adult, but like still
a kid.
Still a kid at heart, mind.
Right. And so I'm up there and we're having a conversation, and knowing our doctor, we can call in at 7:30, and she calls and tries to get an appointment. Oh, you've got to establish yourself first. And the establishment date was early June.
Yeah.
Here 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to get in now. It's that type of something is seriously wrong with you. And so you could hear the concern in the voice of the nurse and all that. And that's the best date they got. And so we wait another half hour, 45 minutes, call the pediatric. Well, you've already have an appointment for June 2nd. You can wait. And I'm sitting there going, no, he can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm trying to advocate on his behalf. No, we already have you in the system for June 2nd.
Because I'm already at work at this time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, this is ridiculous. Well, you can try going to urgent care. Well, okay. And we'll leave it at that. And I head off to work, and Garrett calls your different urgent cares, and no, we don't do blood work. We don't do he calls me up, and he's concerned at that point. And I'm like, you've got to advocate for yourself. You're going to be the strongest advocate. Yeah. I can't do this. This is part of that whole 18 plus.
Right.
Where
they stop listening to the parent,
right?
Because now he can quite literally make decisions for himself.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you got to call him back, and he eventually convinces. He talks to the right person at the pediatric for our pediatric office, and they finally get an appointment in at 2:30 that afternoon.
Okay, good.
And it was that between when he advocated and that was probably 2.5 hours, something like that. And I reached out to our group, and I was like, hey, pray for my son, because he's trying to get in and he's hitting roadblocks all over the place. Yeah. And we use GroupMe, and you can see praying. Yeah. And all of a sudden he gets in, and you're going, okay, there's the first step.
There's the first domino.
Yeah.
And so I go into work and do whatever I need to, get home, and I know I was rolling in insulation that day, so I was already sticky from the fiberglass insulation. So I jump in the shower. And of course, what happens is the phone rings, and all my kids have separate ringtones. So I know exactly who it is at any given time, and of course his ringtone comes up. And I'm like, and so I'm dripping wet and grab the phone. Hey, Dad, doctor wants to talk to you.
That's never good.
No.
That's not.
No.
No. And hey, Mr. Hill, your son needs to go to the emergency room right now. Okay. And so everything's boom, like that, crashing down. And we can't even register his sugar in his blood. He maxed out the machines in the doctor's office. It tells you how high it was. And so you have two options. Either he goes via ambulance, or you come pick him up. And so I'm like, okay, I'll be there in 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. So I quickly dry off, still half showered. It didn't jump back in or anything like that. And get dressed, grab Trevor, which is our oldest, because Garrett is old enough to drive himself to the doctor's office, and I'm not going to leave his car there. And so I grab him, and on our way over to the doctor's office, I call Jess, And I was like, hey, I'm on my way to pick up Garrett. We're going to the emergency room.
And here's the funny thing is I was sitting in a staff meeting after school.
Yeah.
And my ringtone is, who can it be now? Because I forgot to turn it off at recess. And so here it is. It's blurring through the meeting. And I run out and he's like, I'm going to the emergency room with Garrett. I'm at Webster Brothers. I'm like, okay, I'll meet you at home.
Yeah.
Because I figured that he was on his way home from work. And that would be about the halfway point. So I couldn't understand. He's like, no, I'm going to come to school. I couldn't understand why he was coming to school because he failed to tell me that he was on his way to the doctor's office to get Garrett. And my school is around the corner from the doctor's office.
Yeah. And so, hey, get everything out of the way. And we're like, just stay where you're at. I'll be there.
So I tell my principal, I'm like, hey, gotta go. Garrett's on his way.
Hey,
gotta
love
go.
you guys.
Love you guys. Something's up.
More important.
Yep.
And so, stop
Not
by.
the first time with him either.
Right. No, not our first. Boys, let me tell you.
We love our kids.
Yes, we do.
They keep you on your toes. And so, get over and I get in there and you're Garrett's yes. Yeah. And I grab him and I look over and the doctor's sitting there and he's literally talking to the emergency room doctors, getting everything in cleared for us to get in and in quickly. And so leave there. Trevor takes Garrett's car home, go over to the school, grab Jess, and
I leave my car there.
Her car's left there. It's just one of us. And let me tell you, you're in a hurry because the doctor says you need to go now.
Yep.
And it seems like everybody and their brother is driving slow as
Parked
could be.
on 158 and then parked on 421. It was, yes.
Yeah.
And you're in a hurry and no one else is in a hurry.
And of course, it's 3:45, 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, so it's rush hour traffic that you're literally stopping.
And so I'm moseying in and out of traffic, and of course the exit over to Baptist Hospital, there's that one person that decides to go below the speed limit and is making every turn that you're taking.
Yep, they're going to the same place, but they have no care.
No.
Right.
And in your mind, you're just, I gotta get there. There. And so we get there and get going through the security and all that. Only one of you can go in with Garrett.
And so I got to be the lucky one that was like not allowed to go. And the guy's like, well, you got to go to this tower and then that tower to get to there. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I've never been here before. Like, tell me turn at the Purple Cow to, landmarks. And I was really probably ugly with the guy, but that was that mama bear, like not knowing,
gotta protect.
Worrying and whatnot. So I finally found my way to sit in the Starbucks by myself for 2 hours.
So we get into triage right around 4:30, and they were like, "You're going to be a priority patient." Okay, priority patient. Does that mean quicker? Knowing emergency rooms, you don't know what priority is, an hour or what.
5 minutes, like it could be anything.
Exactly. And so we get checked in. He goes in, does some lab work. They wanted to check his sugar, so they draw blood and have him pee in a cup, whole 9 yards. And we finally get a measurement of about 415. 497 is his blood sugar.
And what's the normal range?
For a normal adult, anywhere from about 80 to 150.
So he's just maxing out the charts.
Yeah. And then he even had some in his urine, too. It was high in his urine, but I can't remember what it was.
It was greater than 1,000.
Wow.
When your blood work says greater than...
That's never a good sign.
Right.
Yeah. And so, all of a sudden, we know it's very serious at that point. And so, we're just kind of... chilling and waiting for a room and all that. And that morning, because I didn't look at my devotional or anything like that, it was focus on Garrett. And so I was focusing on Garrett, and I finally had a moment to breathe. And the verse of the day was Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything be prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known to God.
Wow.
Obviously, God help me. But verse 7, and the peace of God will surpass all comprehension. Will guard your hearts and minds for Christ Jesus. Dude, I'm like, a peace that passes all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I sent it to her when she was sitting over in Starbucks, and it was a same thing of
Right. And as I was sitting over there, I'd messaged my Monday night group, the ladies group, and I'd also messaged my Tuesday night group because obviously I wasn't making it. And, they're all just sending me these prayers and these, references from the Bible to help me get through that time there. And it was just amazing support from them as I'm sitting there just stewing, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
So we finally get a room back about 5:45 or so. And at that time, Stephen reaches out to us because I obviously I sent a message to our group, and Stephen's one of the guys in the R group, and he was like, "Do you need anything?" I was like, "What I need more than anything else is a phone charger." No one thinks about it.
No, you're rushing. The last thing you're thinking is, man, my phone might die.
Right. And so he stops by our house, talks to our kids, grabs the phone charger, and comes in to the emergency room. Yeah. And at that point, you can only have two people back there at the time.
There I get kicked back out again.
You just keep drawing the short straw.
I really got the short straw that night. Yep.
And so we get back there, and everything's going on, but Stephen brings a piece that it just, the elephant in the room's still there, but you're not thinking about the elephant in the room anymore.
Yeah.
He tells a story about Nathan and getting beat up by a woman, and you're just sitting there and you're laughing, and it's the first sign of relief.
Yeah, that peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And prays with us. He's there for about an hour or so, and we change out, and Garrett's going up to I want to call it ICU light.
Yeah.
So ICU, you have one nurse on you all the time. This nurse has two people.
Okay.
So they rotate between the two.
It was a step down from the ICU. I think they called it the MICU.
Something like that. And so we're led back into the bowels of Baptist.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Places where if you go to the wrong corner, you're going to see the morgue right over there, type of place. And so we're up there. And it was 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we get up there, and they're like, "You got to wait here." And so they put us in the waiting area for the ICU. And they wheel Garrett back and give us 15, 20 minutes, and we'll come get you. And we're just sitting there, and just, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And we get back in there, and this was, by the time we get back there,
It's about 11 o'clock.
Yeah. We haven't eaten anything since lunch. Just pure go. And we get back there, and he's all hooked up. He's got 4 IVs going on and monitor all over the place.
Beeping.
Yeah. Just everything that...
Every 5 minutes, one of the alarms is going off.
It really was. And it's like one of those parents' worst nightmares.
Yeah.
Like to see your child hooked up and feeling helpless for them.
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
Literally, because he's in DKA. DKA is...
diabetic ketoacidosis.
Yeah.
To where your blood sugar's too high, and...
your organs are starting to shut down.
Right. It's emergency
serious.
Type of stuff. And so they've got to do a fine balance of getting the sugar down and your minerals and electrolytes get all out of whack. So they've got to constantly do blood tests every 30 minutes. It's this fine balance that they've got to walk down. And they can't shock the system of give you a massive amount of insulin. It's slow, steady.
It's going to spike in the opposite direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and I love the nurses there.
Because they technically, one of us should have been kicked out, and you know who it would have been? Because short straw.
Because you drew the short straw.
I drew the short straw, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to even attempt to try to find my car, his car, at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
In the parking garage at Baptist.
So luckily they're nice, and they're like, shh.
We only see one person when we walk in.
Exactly. And so they wheel another chair in, and we're literally out of the corner just watching it. Garrett's right there.
Yeah.
And finally he gets comfortable enough to where he starts sleeping. But as a new parent, you've just got to watch your baby.
Yeah, you can't. Just because he's asleep don't mean you're sleeping.
Right. Correct. Yep. And so even though he's 18, we're sitting there and just watching him. It's a low light, but there's enough illumination from the machines and all that. And all of a sudden, alarm goes off. Mm. Well, his heart rate went below 50. 50's when the alarm goes off. Yeah. And they come look, and
he's just out.
He's passed out.
Completely out.
Yeah.
And probably the best sleep he's had probably in a month or so. And we probably should backtrack is that almost a month exactly prior to this, he was T-boned. And the car was totaled. So it's a possibility that the totaling of the car spurred all of this on.
Yeah, started like jump
started something that was already there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, there's no way to actually tie it to it.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and we catch 10, 15-minute winks. It's on, off between me and her. And finally, I guess that's your...
Yeah, so what do? You either scroll TikTok, you scroll Facebook. And so here I am scrolling on Facebook, and I had for May 14th, 2025, God is saying to you today, stop trying to figure everything out and start trusting me. Worry drains your strength, but trust will energize your soul. You've carried that burden long enough. Now it's time to give it to me. I'm not asking you to fix it. Just believe I will. I can make the crooked places straight and bring beauty from brokenness. Your peace doesn't come from control. It comes from confidence in me. When you choose joy, you invite strength. This is your day to let go and let God.
Yeah.
And then later on, was this mine or was that yours?
No, that was mine.
Okay.
So she posts that, and I'm still catching my beauty sleep of 10, 15 minutes. And I wake up, and they're in there drawing more blood, and he's so out of it. The nurse is literally able to draw blood from his hand while he's asleep.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Right.
That out of it. And so she gets that about 2 hours later. I'm on Facebook now.
Yeah.
And
because I'm getting my beauty sleep finally.
And so we're sitting there, and my turn is God says, trust me. I've stayed with you through every storm in your life. I've given you all that you need. I have and always will protect you, your family, and loved ones. Things may be difficult for you right now, but just trust my timing. A change in circumstances is coming. Trust me and enjoy this new day. Just trust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You piggyback off Philippians, and then all of a sudden, here's your peace and trust.
Yeah.
And so about 5 o'clock, everything starts coming into normal, and the nurse is like, his blood sugar is down in normal range. Thank God. It is all you're thinking. But insulin has a weird way of overcorrecting at times. And so all of a sudden he drops too low.
Yeah, because he's down in the 70s, which is actually almost too low.
And so I don't know, for those that are diabetic, they understand that too high is too bad and too low is too bad.
Yep.
Too low is actually almost deadlier than too high, because you can drop more.
You can drop quicker than
And so they feed him some graham crackers with some peanut butter, and it spikes it again. So we're playing this yo-yo thing.
Yeah.
And the verse that morning was James 1:2. Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial. For once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. The verses that he's just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Just letting us know that he's there. He's got us.
Yeah.
And so that morning, everything's kind of stabilized, and at lunch, everything's at that point where I can finally go eat. We're both working on 24 hours of virtually no sleep.
Yep.
No sleep, no food, because we hadn't eaten anything or
since lunch
that day.
Yeah.
And so we head down to the cafeteria in the hospital. By the way, the food actually in the cafeteria is pretty good.
Pretty good. It's surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good.
Michael reaches out to us, and he was like, "Hey, let me come by if you need anything." And so we're able to begin to digest the last 10, 12 hours of everything that was gone on in the emergency, in ICU. And we have a conversation. We're laughing. It's amazing how laughing just
helps soothe the soul.
Yeah.
So he heads up to see Garrett and all that, and we're having a conversation, and Garrett is recalling him getting checked in, and Garrett was like, it was the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever done. These 3 middle-aged women were giving me a sponge bath.
I love that. Garrett, I know Garrett. I've been around. I know that had to be the most uncomfortable situation for him.
And we're sitting there and we're all dying laughing because this is just funny to us.
Yeah.
18-year-old and just new experience is the best way of describing it. Everything's good. Michael asks, "Need anything?" And so we're like, we gotta walk down, get the car keys, and get, because she left her car keys in my car, and so we gotta go. Someone's gotta go pick up the her car from school, and so hand him the keys. He makes arrangements with our oldest again, and they go and pick up the cars. So everything's back to normal, minus
being in the hospital.
Minus being in the hospital.
And so that evening we get moved down to a normal room, just because they wanted to monitor him overnight and all that. And some of his friends come over, and
I think them seeing the gravity of the situation made him realize how far he had gone, because they had seen that progression, because they had gone hiking 2 weeks prior to that at Hanging Rock, and Garrett could even make it halfway down the trail, and they had to turn around and came back for him. Yeah. And so they realized, they knew something was the matter, but they didn't know what. They figured it was because he was literally burning the candle at both ends, working till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, coming home, getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then up for 20 plus hours.
Yeah.
But here's where it starts getting really interesting of God using this for good. It's, I'm going to tell you, it sucks while you're in it. But with hindsight, you're able to look back and go, there was good out of this. Because when we shared those 2 things that popped up in our Facebook messages, it moved young kids, or young men, to where you could see tears in their eyes. Yeah. And it was just crazy. That was an interesting time, and they're sitting there eating in front of him of things he can't have
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
As a friend, you have to poke a little bit of,
Right.
that little bit of normalcy.
But at the same time, we're sitting there and we're like, okay, since you're with him all the time, make sure he starts eating in the right direction. You can't have this anymore. Watch, and they leave. They have 2 chairs in there, and I don't know if you've ever been in one of those chairs that are in the hospital. They are the most uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like metal bars straight in your back where they don't need to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're when our kids were born, they're the same chairs that were in there 20 years ago.
No.
They were 20, but we were 20 years younger, so that, well,
Didn't
I
hurt.
didn't sit in it. You were sitting in it then because you knew the stroke sick then.
But get up that morning, and this was
My quote again that Thursday morning on the 15th. God is saying to you today, you've cried some tears in secret places, but I've seen every one of them. This is not the time to back down. It's the time to rise up. You're stronger than you think because I put my power in you. The storm was not to your end. It was your transformation. You thought it was breaking you, but it was building you. I'm not just delivering you from something. I'm delivering you into purpose. The pain was part of the preparation. Get ready. Because I'm about to make the enemy pay for everything that you've lost. This is your season to walk boldly in what I've already prepared for you.
So it's that trial with fire, and you walk out and you're like, okay, God's got me.
Yeah.
So kind of the things that have happened since, and this is where you get to look at and go, God's good.
Yeah.
Because Garrett was working 3rd shift, he wasn't attending any church events. He's now attending church events again.
Yeah.
He's bringing his friends, young men that need God just as much as we all do. They're now attending, and the culture, because they're bringing these young men, is changing even at students. I can see it. There's more car people showing up at students.
I've seen it.
And so his diet has gotten better.
Because he was our junk food king, I'm not going to lie. And, we see that glimpse every so often, but he's not sitting there eating pizzas at the time because 2 or 3 weeks prior to all this happening, the child was eating 2 to 3 medium pizzas at a time and still hungry.
Yep.
It still had his 6-pack. And we're like, where? How? Right.
Teach me.
Please.
Teach me, because I just, put on another 30 pounds just watching you do that. So,
Man.
and then he finished, remember? He ate those 3 pizzas, and then he finished it off with a quart of ice cream.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But now salads. Where'd my kid?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Because we used to joke that Garrett won't eat carrots.
right.
He'll eat carrots now.
There we go. Yeah, I think, man, just hearing all of that, I just go back to the fact that God provided for his people. I think that is a thread that we see all throughout Scripture of God providing for his people. And I think about it for you guys, and just from the instance of, God waking you up, like you woke up to him coming home, and you could have easily slept through that, and he could have went and laid down, and we could be having a very different story.
Different conversation.
The fact of you woke up and you were with him and you started calling, and the fact that he was able to get into the pediatric office.
Right.
Didn't have an appointment till June. Hypothetically, he could have not been at the doctor, and no doctor could have been having a different conversation.
Yeah.
You get into the hospital and they mark you as a priority patient. However long it took, I can promise you it would have took double, if not triple, that time.
Right.
Right.
And we could be having a different conversation. At every roadblock we see, man, look at the pieces and how God was working it. Look at this moment, how God was working, even to the point of, you're like, I didn't get to do my morning devotional because all this is going on and I had to help Garrett. Like, I have to be with him. And then you open it up, and what was it? Philippians 4.
Right.
Hey, don't worry, I got you, God's saying. Like, how, man, I see that. And it's really like, hearing your story, it's that living proof of what Paul said when Paul wrote Romans. We have that verse in Romans 8 where he says, I'm working all things out for the good of those who believe in me. Romans 8:28. And that's, like you said it earlier, you don't see it when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When you're in that hard time, all you can see is that hard time.
That hard time.
But now on the back end, you're looking and it's like, wait a minute.
He's with us.
Every moment, God was
He's
paving
with
the way.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he was sending reminders when we needed it the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The odds of you sitting there scrolling Facebook and all of a sudden, boom, right in your face.
Yeah.
Or even like the TikToks too, like there are very like spiritual TikToks like going through my feed that time too, which was just it's
not,
just
if you've ever been on
amazing.
TikTok, it's
right,
just not the norm.
Not the norm. And it was
Yeah.
it was very amazing and very calming during a difficult time.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And so I'd love to hear just for a moment, like, since that's happened, how do you feel like that's impacted y'all's faith? How do you feel like that's impacted Garrett? Like, what do you think has been the big difference?
It strengthened it like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is probably the best way of describing it. If he's there when you needed him the most, he's going to be there every time.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, he's there even when we don't think we need him.
Yeah, I think
And that's when we probably really need him the most.
Yeah. No, I remember. So my son, when he was born, he got put in the NICU for about 4 days. Ultimately, everything ended up being fine. To make a long story really short, he just needed to use the bathroom, and they want him to poop before they go home.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
2 days went by and he hadn't pooped, and so he got put in the NICU because they're afraid there was a blockage or maybe there was intestinal issues, and so he got put in there. And I remember me and Casey sitting in the NICU, and like y'all were saying, like, he's hooked up to all these monitors, and you're sitting there like there's absolutely nothing that we can do except to just sit here, and so we started just praying and then being able now to be on the back end, and Gideon's healthy, and so I hear your story, and for me I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying. It really makes me think it's one of those, we know those verses, right? We know the Philippians 4, we know the Romans 8, we know when Jesus talks about, come to me all who are weary and burdened and I will give you rest for your soul. Like, we know these verses, but it's one thing to know it, and then it's another thing when you actually experience it firsthand. It just, I don't know, for me and what it sounds like for you guys, it just really gives you that, like, it solidifies everything that you already knew. Mm-hmm. And so, man, that's encouraging. And so here's my hope for everyone that watched this. My hope is that you hear this story, and I hope it does one of two things for you. Either you know Jesus, and so I hope that this just gives you that confidence to say, man, everything that I know, here's just one more building block of truth. I know that God is real. I know that Jesus died. Here's just one more building block, and you just let that bolster your faith. But if you're listening and maybe you don't know Jesus, or maybe you've been going through a hard time and you've been trying to do it on your own, man, my encouragement is come to the Lord. He says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Mm-hmm. Come to him and see how he provides, how he protects, how he cares for his people. The entire Bible is one big cohesive story that ultimately shows us that we mess up. We can't handle the surroundings, our situations, our life, our sin. We can't do it. The whole Bible tells us that, from Adam all the way to the end of Revelation. But the Bible also says that Jesus can. From Adam to Revelation, it's painting this picture of, you can't do it. Mm-hmm. That's why I sent Jesus for you. And so if you know Jesus, then hey, let this be an encouragement. But if you don't know Jesus, man, let this be that first challenge of, why am I trying to do something that Jesus has already done? Why am I trying to provide for myself, care for myself, when Jesus has already done that? Because I think that's what this story shows. It shows how God provided, God protected, God cared. And ultimately, as we already know, God loves us and he's with us. And so, man, I just appreciate y'all coming on and sharing this. I know it's vulnerable. I know it's a beautiful story now, but then it was, it's terrifying.
Terrifying and raw. And
still is raw. You know, we're 4 months, 3.5, 4 months
three and a half, 4.
Yeah.
It's still, chokes you up.
Yeah. And so I appreciate y'all coming on and sharing that. And for everybody watching, I appreciate y'all watching. And like I said, the challenge is, man, go to Jesus. And if you have questions about the story, or if you just want to encourage Jeremiah or Jessica, man, I encourage you to do that. Put it in the comments. You'll see them. Come to Walkertown and see them and just tell them, hey, I heard your story and I appreciate you sharing it. And I've been praying for them. Because, man, I know that would mean the world to them. But thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, guys. And we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.